Listen, mount up.
Oh, come on! Oh, no! Oh!
Check for pulse.
You have got to be kidding me! Come on! Yeah! How good it is to be back in Whistler, the birthplace of the Crankworx World Tour, stop number 2 on the 2022 World Tour. What a great day we have here. Second day of broadcast competition. The riders are here, the fans are here, and the first thing I noticed when I cruised through the village, the sights, the sounds, the smells, all those senses that I have tied to the nostalgia of Crankworx Whistler. All the best riders in the world are here. The most enthusiastic fans are here, and they are rubbing elbows. That's what it's all about. So, this is day 2 of broadcast competition. Yesterday, we gave away some hardware via Verbeek and Bernard Kerr, taking the win in the Specialized Dual Slalom Whistler. I'm your host, Cam McCall. I'm hanging out right here with Andrew Needling, former World Cup downhill racer, Style Cat, and our expert for all things racing. Andrew, we got something a little bit different for the fans out there today. It's the pump track race, but we're shaking things up a bit. Explain.
We definitely are. We are back home in Whistler. It feels great. But what's better than that? Something new and exciting. We are going to put 4 riders head to head. So there'll be 4 lanes, and it'll be a straight pump track. So think about straight rhythm. Think about freestyle swimming in the Olympics. Who is the fastest over that distance? And that is what we're going to see today.
Yeah, it's like the pump sprint. You know, it's going to be really interesting. Like you say, similar to 50 meter freestyle swimming, like Michael Phelps style, similar to the 100-meter dash. Think Usain Bolt. But 4 riders side by side. One thing we are keeping consistent here is we're dropping that chain. It's all about pumping. That's the only way they're going to be able to generate speed. Now, the qualifying results are important here because in every heat, the highest qualifying rider gets to pick which lane they want to be in. Similar to, say, Supercross, where you're trying to pick your gate. Once we boil things down, we keep chopping the field in half from 64 to 32, 16, 8, 4. The final run, the top 3 will be taking away the gold, silver, and the bronze. Now, if you're wondering what in the world does the course look like for a format like that, we're getting an overhead view of it right there. A lot of rollers, and every track isn't identical, so that qualifying result follows you throughout the day. It really comes in handy when you get to pick your lane.
Yeah, it is going to be critical, and also rider strategy. Do you want to be all the way on the one side so you only have, say, one rider in your vision and no one on the other side? Or do you want to be in the middle so that you can kind of gauge how fast everyone is on your left or your right?
Look at that roll-in. Is anybody else getting like Crew Jones Hell Track vibes from that 13-foot tall roll-in right there? We usually see them having a hard time getting up to speed, but with that roll-in, you just hop in, no chain, and they get going pretty quick. A lot of different options out there for doubles and triples throughout those rollers. The big question for us all along has been, what are the riders going to think about this format? And it's definitely going to be playing to the favor of some riders from different backgrounds. I feel like we're going to set Pink Bike commenters ablaze today with the amount of times we're probably going to be saying BMX background with this course.
Well, I mean, how can you not mention it? It is going to be so critical to get that start. And who's going to have the most experience with racing side by side? None other than a BMXer.
So we were so curious what the riders were thinking. We caught up with our current overall leaders in the King and Queen of Crankworx hunt. Let's hear what they had to say.
I mean, I guess it's similar to usual like pump track and slalom races. You have somebody next to you. But having 2 people next to you, it might almost make it a bit easier because you're like, okay, I just need to be top 2 to advance on. And then obviously in the final, you want to win. But yeah, it'll be interesting, but I think it'll be fairly easy to just kind of zone in and do your own thing.
Like, I mean, there's no corners. So for mountain biker me, it's horrible. Like, it's just, that's where I gain my bit of time at pump track is like cornering and like, versus BMX people are so used to like long stretches and like big berms. So for them, tighter corners is a bit more difficult. Not for me. Well, now it's a straight line. So it's perfect for people with BMX backgrounds, unlike myself.
So Via Verbeek has this whole Crankworx competition thing down to a science. She's won 2 gold medals in the last 2 days, but she's already kind of analyzed the format here and recognized the fact that she's a rider who triumphs on courses with a lot of corners. That's where she gets her advantage. And you know, that was her prediction before the race. We're gonna take a look at the women's qualifying roundup right now. And she was kind of right. She's sitting there in the 9th place qualifying, and look at who's on top. Tell me about the background of Kialani Buchanan.
Well, no surprise there. Kialani Buchanan has won pump tracks here at Crankworx many a time. And again, we're going to start saying it and we maybe won't end. She has a BMX background, so she's going to be great in the start. But Michaela out of the Czech Republic is your 4-cross world champion. Now this is going to play into her favor because she's used to gated racing and 4 races on the track at the same time. So that was interesting. Via Verbeek, she's going to have to play a bit of damage control today. Daniela Beecroft, we know she can win a slalom, but this is not an event that some of these ladies sort of are used to. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
That's right, and if we learned anything from last night, you know, qualifying results gives us a little bit of an indication, but things can really shake up. The qualifying results are going to matter more in this format than they did in slalom last night, though. Obviously, you get matched up against easier competitors if you have a high qualifying result in both formats. But in this one, the gate choice is definitely going to be key. And if you have a low number next to your name based on qualifying, and you're a better qualifier than the rest in your heat, you get to choose your favorite lane. So we're going to meet up with competition here at the round of 32. We've got the riders in the gate here for our women's round of 32. You see Kialani Buchanan on screen. So let's join our live event announcers here, Derek Foose and Tristan Merrick, as they get things underway.
Well, we've got our first pro female heat up in the top there. You can see the riders in their lanes. Kialani Buchanan, our top qualifier today, taking lane number 4 over on that far right-hand side. Then we've got
well, this round of 32 matchup, we have Paula Zabasa, Angie Marino, and your number 1 qualifier, Kialani Buchanan. We can see what lane Kialani chose. That far rider's left line, that's the one she feels has the advantage out here. She's going up against the 16th and 17th qualifiers. There we go, gate dropped on our first heat here for the women. Round of 32 matchup. Kialani Buchanan, great start.
So look at that, a huge start from Kialani Buchanan. A lot less pressure in this heat because there are only 3 riders. Normally we're going to see 4 and the first 2 will advance. So obviously no surprise there for Kialani Buchanan. She'll be the first rider to go through here in our first round. And then Paula Sabasa will join her in that round of 16. Now remember, we are only going to see these riders drop once. Often in pump track, they would switch lanes and they would do 2 heats per round. Not today.
So Kialani Buchanan making it into the next matchup. Expect to see her tomorrow as well for speed and style. She's been putting a lot of emphasis on learning tricks for that specific series of events. That'll be fun to watch. If there's ever 2 days in a row where Kialani Buchanan can go back-to-back wins and kind of answer to Via Verbeek, who did that the last 2 days, it's Wednesday and Thursday here at Crankworx Whistler. It's going to be great to see how things shake down and what the king and queen of Crankworx overall standings look like as we progress through the week. Now, next heat in the gate. We got Via Verbeek here, the reigning queen of Crankworx. In the middle of your screen, number 9 qualifier, looking strong.
But Martha Gill out there in front, qualifying in 8, so she will go through as well as Via Verbeek. So look at those times there on the right. 11.1 second from Martha Gill via Viebeck. Will go through to the next round, but then she'll have her work cut out for her.
So smart riding there for Via. She knows the only thing that really matters, the only thing that's going to carry you to the next round is staying in that top two. Doesn't matter how far ahead of the rest of the field you are. At this point, your qualifying result matters, and first and second, only things on your mind.
And next up, into our heat number 3, 2 athletes up there. Looking like we have the
So third heat loading up in the gate here in our round of 32 for the women.
there in lane number 3. So both riders will advance through. It's a bye for them, but this is giving them valuable track time to figure it out, get their tires on the dirt, see exactly how it's going. Hopefully,
So Jordy Scott coming off of a second place last night in dual slalom. She's on fire. The number 5 qualifier. Keep your eye on her.
earning herself a silver medal last
Going up against Drew Michelson.
So this one's just going to be a little bit of extra track time for these two riders. As we heard Tristan say before, we didn't quite have enough to fill out the round of 32, so a few of our faster riders earning a bye into the later rounds by having a 32 in their heat. So there's a huge benefit to putting all the
We've got Amy Ertel in this heat as well.
qualifying, get some high qualifying time, fast qualifying time, and you earn the round time. There we go, gate dropping, so no shade, no pedal stroke, right?
So obviously no pressure for here. This is basically a bye run for these two ladies. They will be easily going through to the round of 16. So Jordy Scott just getting an idea for how the track is running here tonight.
Taken 2, but again, automatic fly through.
So Jordy Scott last night, first time in the night show for dual slalom, was a big moment for her. She was able to carry a second place qualifying result all the way to second place final result, picking up a silver medal. Let's see if she can make it 2 medals in 2 nights as we load up heat number 4 for the women's round of 32. It's going to be Danny Johnson, Kirsten Van Horn, the Canadian, also a rider carrying a lot of momentum, with Harriet Burbage-Smith coming off a pretty hefty crash yesterday in dual slalom. We saw her favoring that right shoulder, but with that 4th place qualifying result, obviously she's able to push through.
Again, you can see them balancing so delicately at the top there. Bit of a cross brace, working on your balance, focus on the gate.
So good start from Harriet Burbage-Smith. So she is out front. She will really just need to conserve a little bit of energy here. Yes, it's a short track, but there's so much pumping and it is so difficult on the legs.
It almost looked like Harriet was trying to grab a pedal there right before the finish line. That's what's so hard about pump track, is remembering that you don't have a chain there, and if you try to pedal, it's probably going to make you crash.
Yeah, even if you tell yourself you've got no chain on the bike, your subconscious takes over when you want to get a little bit more speed there at the end. So a great start from her, hopping into that backside of that huge start ramp.
This is where the fatigue will start to set in as you advance through each round. Maybe going to be a little bit less than we've seen in the past with Pump Track Challenge, but here tonight for Ultimate Pump Track Challenge, the one-run format may be an advantage to them.
So Harriet Burbage-Smith moves through to the next round as we load up our next heat into the gate.
To our next heat in gate 4, we've got Kialani Hines, no stranger to Pump Track of Victory.
So Kialani Hines, somebody that we've seen do so well in pump track in the past. She qualified in 3rd, so she's obviously loving this new format. Going up against the 14th qualifier, Cassie Voicey, and Renata Wise, the 19th qualifier. Kialani Hines on that far end of your screen there. We see a lot of riders choosing that same rider's left line.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out over the course of this evening. Is that rider's left lane the fastest? Is it placebo effect? Why do they want to be there?
Well, Kialani Hines, obviously the favorite in this heat. Expect to see her leading the charge here. The big question is, Kialani has a good run. Who's going to be able to join her in the next round? Cassie Voicey, Renata Wise, they both have an equal opportunity here.
Yeah, spectacular. If you're down in the village wondering what's going on, it's the ultimate pump track challenge in phase 2 up on the Excalibur gondola. Come on up. The beer garden is pumping. The crowd is starting to,
Take a look. That's one thing that we love to be back into the swing of here. Such an international field of competitors. It was tough to get the worldwide field for the Crankworx summer road trip last year. We've got China lined up against USA, lined up against Canada. Great to get back to our full international field here in Whistler, BC. And we're continuing to see the crowds just grow. I mean, we had a good crowd on hand last night for dual slalom, but things are just going to continue to build. We're expecting a ridiculous amount of people here for slopestyle on Saturday. All right, gate drop.
So good jump from Kialani Hines. We are not surprised to see that. Casey out of Australia, can she take that second spot and stamp her authority on this race? Yes, so she will join Kialani Hines in the round of 16. Now the next few rounds are going to have full gates. The speed is going to increase and we're going to see some tight racing.
So we're seeing some consistency here with our qualifying results. Our top 2 qualifiers from this heat making it through. Number 14 there for Cassie Voicey. Yeah, we're consistently seeing that riders left starting gate being favored. So let's see what the story is for our next heat loaded into the gate. Well, we've got our fastest qualifier going to the complete other side of the picture here. Sheila Reno from America going up against Danielle Beecroft with a good showing last night, and Brittany Gustafson.
So no surprise there, these early rounds, it really is playing on paper as we expect it to. Good ride from her. Reno will go through and Beecroft will join her as well. Beecroft obviously swapping out for the hardtail. We've seen her take the downhill bike in other events like the slalom, but obviously you're looking for no travel in the back. There's so much pressure in that front fork, and we know how hard they've pumped their tires.
It'll be interesting to see if we have any shakeups to those qualifying results like we had last night with the men's category in particular. Qualifying, 10th in the case of the winner, Bernard Kerr, but able to have some upsets throughout the early preliminary rounds. So far, we're seeing those top qualifying athletes advance. Waiting for that Cinderella story upset here.
Yeah, I think we might see some upsets because you've obviously only got one run and it's sort of under 10 seconds, especially for the men. So you make one little mistake, one bit of hesitation, you are easily going to be out. So awesome visuals here from the drone here at our Crankworx Whistler pump track, our straight rhythm version. So Henderson and Ferguson will advance here out of heat 7 into the round of 16.
Louise Ferguson snagging a podium last night dual slalom, grabbing that bronze medal, carrying the momentum here, making it out of this heat 7 matchup in our round of 32 women's category, the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. Now, keep your eyes on Michaela Hajkova here from the Czech Republic. She's the second fastest racer from the qualifying round. 4-cross world champion, here we go.
Yeah, no slouch to racing neck and neck and side by side Michaela is.
So coming across the line with ease, very close racing there in that final little bit. Who gets our transfer spot?
So the Swedish
So no surprise there. Czech Republic, Michaela will advance.
Czech rider Michaela Hajkova.
Normally wearing those 4-cross World Championship stripes. A little bit more casual here tonight.
So that does it for the women's round of 32. Let's see who made it into the round of 16. No big surprises there at the top of the list. Kialani Buchanan with that nice green A, signifying she's advancing out of the round of 32. Paula Zabasa doing the same. Martha Gill and Via Verbeek as well. Jordy Scott making it out of her heat along with Drew Michelson. We're gonna see Harriet Berber-Smith and Danny Johnson. Kialani Hines. So some familiar names there from last night's competition, even though you couldn't get any further away from what we saw last night in dual slalom, which was a really rugged, kind of well-rounded dual slalom course. You saw, like you said, Danielle Beecroft on that downhill bike doing quite well for herself, which definitely tells you that slalom has some guts to it. But stripping those bikes down to their bare components here for the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. No chain, 80 PSI in the tires, no corners. It's all about the pump out here. It's the pump sprint. Let's see who we have in our first matchup for the men. I believe it's going to be our #1 qualifier out of New Zealand, Jayden Fleming. #2 qualifier was Joey Foresta. We'll see him coming up. Keegan Wright, a big name when it comes to pump track. Good to see Jacob Jewett back in the mix. We saw him with a brutal broken wrist in the 2020 Cliff Crankworx Summer Series. It's been a long road back for him. And then we've got some names that we know from the slopestyle world there. France's Tim Bringer.
What is normally an event, we get to see all the different disciplines, the riders. They've got a bit of time in the schedule. They throw their names in the hat. Someone like Kai O'Hearn coming off the best World Cup finish that he's had. Sam Blenkinsop, you don't normally see him at all these events, but you know what? He's got time because the downhill's only on Sunday.
So we talk about how you set your bike up for this Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. Somebody who knows how to get every ounce of advantage out of that bike is Thomas Slavic. Check out his Maxxis bike check.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Thomas Slavic and this is my Maxxis bike check. So for pump track, this time I'm riding Maxxis DTH 2.3, rear and front tire, same pressure, 80 PSI. It's really a lot. It's this pump track is a little bit different. It's kind of more like a straight ridden, so the speed is more important than the grip, and that's why I decided for the fastest tires from Maxxis, and that's DTH. I'm riding my favorite RockShox Spike Ultimate with 130 PSI in it, and for this pump track, I think I'm gonna decide to lock it completely because it's a straight rhythm, as I said, no turns, just pumping and going as fast as possible, so I'm just gonna completely lock it. I'm really looking forward to this new concept because it's a really new thing and a new challenge, and racing with 4 guys, I'm a big fan of 4-cross, so that's the real deal, so really looking forward to that one. Thanks guys for watching my Maxxis bike check, and have fun while watching.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing the former king of Crankworx there, Thomas Slavic, putting that bike through its paces. We'll see him in heat #6 of this round of 32 matchup for the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. First up in the gates going to be our #1 qualifier, Jayden Fleming, going up against Martin Bataille, Cody Johnson, great to see him back out here, and Jacob Murray. So there he is, your #1 qualifier, Jayden Fleming.
Yeah, a little surprising to see him in #1 qualifying, because we do see him in speed and styles. You know, he's got a huge bag of tricks. We haven't seen this sort of speed out of him, even though, you know, he's got a rich racing background. Been racing bikes since he was 7 years old, so it's nice to see him show us the speed that we know he was capable of.
Well, keep an eye on Jacob Murray here and Cody Johnson, the 16th and 17th qualifiers, battling it out for that final transfer spot. Expect to see Jayden Fleming show us how he got that #1 next to his name. Here we go.
So great start out of Cody Johnson there. Overhead in lane 2 there. He is ahead though. This is going to be great for him, and he's going to go through.
There we go. Cody Johnson doing what he needed to do to join Jayden Fleming here in the round of 16, making it out of this round of 32. Some smoking times there. Jayden Fleming, the 9.8. Sub 10-second times here in this event. We're now going to affectionately reference as the pump sprint.
But you coined it.
All right, next heat loading up into the gate. Good to see Jacob Jewett back on the bike here, healthy. He's been racing the World Cups. He's the 9th place qualifier. Adrien Loron right there, 8th place qualifier. Expect to see those two really duking it out. Bringer and Wallace, the 25th and 24th qualifiers. So an opportunity for an upset if they're able to finish in the top 2.
So good start there. Wow, from Liam Wallace. Can he keep it going? You can see Adrien Loron. He is out front. Who is going to take that second spot?
Looked like Loron and Jewett. We'll wait for the official word on that. Yeah, Liam Wallace crossing the finish line 3rd. That'll be it for him. Well, good to see Jacob Jewett back and healthy. We saw him at the pump track years ago knock out so many Goliaths, and now he's taken those pump track skills into World Cup downhill. He's a Squamish local, so you pretty much get every skill needed for any of the events out here at a Crankworx Festival by living in Squamish. Adrien Loron, a former king of Crankworx in his own right, showing why he was that number 8 qualifier, advancing out of this round of 32 into the round of 16. Next heat loaded up into the gate. We're gonna have Niels Bensink, Jonathan Simek, Daniel Butterworth, and Jake Byrne. Niels Bensink, no surprise to see a small number next to his name, the 5th place qualifier, riding buddy of Bas van Steenbergen. They grew up riding together in the Netherlands before they both happened to move to Canada. Daniel Butterworth, number 12 qualifier on the riders right there.
So neck and neck, awesome starts by them. But wow, Bensink is showing why he qualified so well there. Butterworth, wow, that was tight as well. So he will go through to the round of 16 with the other rider, Niels Bensink, out of the Netherlands, but now moved over to Canada.
Look how tight that was. Butterworth crossing the finish line, 1,000th of a second behind Bensink. If you're ever curious what 1,000th of a second looks like, there you have it. Choosing the far ends of the lane racetrack. Let's listen in. So the 2 leading qualifiers both picked the outsides, which is something that we're seeing quite often. Let's see what we have here. Lemoyne also choosing that far rider's left side. Bryce Stroud, the next qualifier, grabbing the edge as well.
Lemoyne, one of the best pump track riders here at Crankworx. Good start from him. He's out front. The other riders are in tow though. So Thomas Lemoyne.
Oh my, this is gonna be interesting. So Thomas Lemoyne, somebody we're always keeping an eye on when it comes to the King of Crankworx overall, because he's one of the top slopestyle athletes in the world, and he can also win speed style. He's done that many, many times. He decided not to compete in pump track at our stop number 1 in Innsbruck, Austria. He said, you know what? I want to focus a little bit more on those events that I care more about. So he obviously likes this new format, and if he's able to get a medal here, he can launch himself back up in those king standings where he's kind of dipped a bit by choosing not to compete in the pump track in Austria.
Yeah, maybe with it being a shorter track, it's less physically demanding on him, considering the week is quite tough for him, and he's got his sort of all his chips in the corner for slopestyle, which is just, you know, a huge event for it.
So Keegan Wright in this heat, along with Dylan Butcher, Tegan Cruz, and Austin Bubba Warren. Tegan Cruz rocking those Maxxis DTH front and rear. Low PSI if you consider this is a pump track with no corners. 48 in the front, 50-something in the rear. That's quite low.
A little bit less than Thomas Slavic. He's running something like 80 PSI front and rear. Definitely a little bit less. Austin Warren was good in slalom yesterday, qualified fastest. A little further back here in 14th. Keegan Wright in 3rd. Dylan Butcher in 30th. And Tegan Cruz in 19th.
Bubba!
So Bubba with the start there.
He's going for the middle as well.
So that is looking good. Looks like he will be second. It's neck and neck though.
Wow, that's going to be close, yeah, for that second place final transfer spot. But Bubba Warren will grab it, sending Tegan Cruz to the showers. Yeah, very close. Tegan, another ridiculous talent out of British Columbia. Whistler kid does well. A story we've seen play out over and over again. So Bubba, another guy we are always talking about here at Crankworx festivals. So Tim Bringer, a guy from the slopestyle background, similar to Thomas Lemoyne. It's great to see him thrown down in pump track here. We caught up with him earlier.
Maybe I'm gonna do pump track this time because I like the course. Like it's fun. It's like race of 4. So you just need like to, it's like a BMX race a bit. It's a straight line, so no turns. So I can just do like maybe my BMX race background. We will see. It's gonna be my first try at pump track. So.
Can you imagine that Tim Bringer, this guy's like 7 feet tall. He used to, we'll give them a chance. BMX background, give them a chance to, you know, if they're playing the game.
He said it, not us.
Yeah. BMX background, BMX background.
So blame Tim Bringer.
Could you imagine watching him on a BMX bike? This guy dwarfs.
He would
26-inch
absolutely
bike.
dwarf a BMX bike. You're so
here we
right.
go. Tim Bringer, the number 11 qualifier here, choosing the middle. Worked for Bubba Warren moments ago. Thomas Slavic.
Oh,
6th
sluggish start
qualifier.
from Slavic. Tim Bringer is out front.
Look at that.
Kaya Hearn was ahead of Slavic, but wow, Slavic had to work hard for that. He made it back though.
That was crazy how far behind Slavic was and somehow pulled it back.
Well, you're not 4-cross world champion for nothing. Thomas Slavic showing us what he's made of. Wow. Didn't get flustered by that bad start.
Let's watch him make that up. That was absolutely insane. Keep an eye on the right side of your screen here. Thomas Slavic quite a ways behind Tim Bringer, and somehow he pulls a rabbit out of his hat.
Wow.
So much power.
Didn't get too stressed by that poor start, but wow, just so much power. 4-cross world champion Thomas Slavic is into the round of 16.
Incredible, brand new format. Taking things off here. Looking up top, you got Sam. Go straight into the Crankworx World Tour.
Well, here we go, some big names in this heat. Let's just run through them. Bas van Steenbergen, 7th qualifier. Luca Cometti, 10th qualifier. And Sam Blankensop looking to make it an upset here. He's the 26th qualifier. We got Raimundo Guzman.
So no surprise there. Bas van Steenbergen here on the right of your screen. Great run by him. Luca Cometti, you can't be surprised by him either. He's had some great finishes in pump track. Luca Cometti, United States of America, he'll be going through with Bas van Steenbergen.
So great to see Guzman, the Chilean, out here making it all the way up to Whistler, BC. Making it quite far. It's not easy to make it into the round of 32. You
And
gotta
look at, is that Blinky on the left of your screen? He kind of knew he was not going through, so quads that thing up.
The whip-off's on Wednesday, Sam. So look at that. Fastest time of the day as it stands right now. belongs to Thomas Lemoyne, so he's got a good chance of taking this thing home if he keeps up at this rate. Faster time than Thomas Slavic, who's got that second fastest time, not by much.
He saw he was a bit behind. He just decided to send this last moment.
Keep your eyes on Thomas Lemoyne.
Straight back up to the top. We still have another heat to bring you in lane 4. Joey Foresta, our second fastest qualifier, lane 3, Billy Nicholas, and the French rider.
So in this next heat, one name that pops out here, Joey Foresta, was so strong last night in dual slalom. Absolutely flawless. He was popping out of berms early, squaring them off, making those gates look easy at the bottom where so many people were struggling.
Yeah, he was a highlight for sure. He would easily could have had the win as well.
So Jung rocking some pretty low tire pressure as well compared to Thomas Slavic, 43 front and rear, keeping it simple with the Maxxis icon on both wheels. Joey Foresta, number 2 qualifier out here today.
This is going to be a tight matchup from Billy McKean against Gutierrez. Lucas Cruz even has a shot, but sluggish start from him though. So it's going to be tough for him to make that up. Billy McKean, look at him go.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, what happened to Billy?
Gutierrez, whoa. Quick from him down that final half of the track, and he is going to advance with Joey.
Wow, Meeklum just losing it at the last minute there. He had such a stellar start. I thought we were going to see him finish in the top 2. Joey Foresta ruling with an iron fist. But watch Meeklum, how quick he was out of the gate. Second from the left there.
Yeah, great start from Billy. Foresta was a little bit sluggish compared to him. Wow. And
Yeah,
then
Billy
Jung
just
making it up down the last half of this track. So clean with his pumps. Wow, look at that.
So Joey, a little bit different form of competition than what we saw you doing last night. What do you think about this new pump track format? You're the second qualifier.
Yeah, it's cool, cool format, and we're enjoying it so far. It's kind of new, so we're all learning how to deal with it. So yeah, it's been good so far.
Could be 2 good nights in a row for you. How many more events are we going to see you competing in for the rest of the week?
This is actually it, so hoping to hit on a high note, but we'll take it one lap at a time. Every lap is pretty much like a final, so it's pretty gnarly.
For sure. It sounds like no reason not to just leave it all out there, so we'll let you do just that. Good luck out there, Joey.
Thanks, guys.
So Joey Foresta, slalom last night, so impressive. I'm bummed we don't get to see him back for any of the other competitions later on in the week, but he's playing toward his strengths, knowing where he can possibly grab some medals. And he's moving through to the next round. Niels Bensink, Daniel Butterworth also advancing into the round of 16. Thomas Lemoyne, slopestyle guy, Jackson Fruit, downhill guy, both moving out. That's what is great about pump track, is that it's that equalizer, isn't it? You can get people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah,
out
and
here.
Keegan Wright went from all disciplines to EWS to e-bike EWS. Bas van Steenbergen, well, king of Crankworx, no surprise there. Luca Cometti, also no slouch on a pump track. And then Joey, I mean, he's really been impressing me. And we're going to get to know Gautier from France. That was a really good run from him.
All right, let's roll things over to the women's category here. Heat number 1, the round of 16. We got our number 1 qualifier, Kialani Buchanan. If you're curious what kind of tires she's running, we got that information for you. 60 PSI, all right, that makes a little bit more sense. She's got a Maxxis icon in the front, a Maxxis pace in the rear. Doesn't have to do that much math. Just figure, this is pump track. Do we really need to have the front tire any lower than the back? Let's go 60. Trustworthy PSI. So next fastest qualifying rider here from Great Britain, Martha Gill. She was 8th, and then look at that big name right there. The reigning queen and current points leader for Queen of Crankworx, Via Verbeek.
So let's focus on those two ladies in the middle. This is what it has come down to. Via Weber qualifying at night. Oh, and she is behind by more than a bike on Martha Gill. So Kialani Buchanan out front. Martha Gill flawless there.
It'll be tough to beat Caroline tonight if she keeps up this level of consistency. So via Verbeek, it's not going to be 3 golds in 3 nights. But hey, she gets a chance to hang out and watch the show for once.
Yeah, it is really going to be tough. Kialani Buchanan's got sort of the most experience when it comes up lining next to 3 other riders. Those gate drops, she can really do those in her sleep. So awesome to see how she's progressing her slope style and her tricks. But lovely to see her back here in the gated racing.
Look at that, Jordy Scott loading up into this heat number 2 of round of 16. She was so impressive last night in dual slalom. Another high pressure, long day form of racing. So we caught up with her asking about what it's like to be in that start gate, waiting for those beeps.
A lot will come down to just like getting out of the start. That's, I think, going to be a lot more important, just kind of getting in your competitor's head right off the start. And if you do a line that they didn't do, I could see that like throwing somebody off in their head, just like, oh, they beat me that run and I saw they manualed onto this and I jumped it, maybe I'll manual it, and then that causes a mistake. So I think there's just definitely a lot more to pay attention to, and if you're not paying attention to that, you're possibly missing opportunities to win if you're not in that position.
So many different options out there. You know, you look at this track and you think, all right, well, you just point her straight. There's no decisions to be made. But when it comes to deciding whether to manual or how to gap through if you want to do different types of rhythm, there's a ton of different variations right there.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I mean, if you are just neck and neck with the rider and they jump something and you manual and they get a sort of half a bike length, do you need to change your line?
So this matchup flanked by some fast qualifiers, 4 and 5 on the outside.
So neck and neck for Scott and Burbage Smith. But that is clear to see who's going to go to the next round. Remember, folks, we are just looking for the fastest 2 that will progress. And then come finals, we'll dish out the hardware for first, second, and third.
Well, we keep chopping this field in half. The Knuckles say, all right, cheer me on from the fans corral, because Jordy Scott, Harriet Burbage Smith are into the round of 8. Some familiar faces from just last night.
So no real upsets compared to how they qualified, which is no surprise yet. But now when we get to the next few rounds, anything can happen, because a little bit of hesitation out the gate, and you're not going to be able to make that up.
So, Jordy, you're another rider we had a blast watching just last night in a very different format, hanging out the same area of Blackcomb Mountain over there. Which one do you prefer? Are you liking this format? I know you come from BMX. It's got a lot of rollers. You got a big smile on your face.
Yeah, I think I kind of like having the corners, a little bit of like something to even it out on this track. One mistake and that's all it takes. So it's a lot more pressure because there's just, it has to get perfect manuals, perfect pump on everything. And in dual slalom, such a long track, you can kind of make that mistake and make it up. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure and really bringing me back to my BMX days. So I am just hoping to make it through the night and gonna try to do as few mistakes as I can.
So how important would you say is that start? I can understand you spoke about the rollers, but what about that start? What about if you mess the start up? What's that like?
I feel like this track specifically, it's actually not that bad because there's this huge hill right after. Other tracks we've had, it's super mellow, so that start really gets your speed going. But here, if you mess it up, all of us are hitting that hill right off the start. So I don't think it's as big of a factor as it has been in the past, but this rain might be.
Yes, Jordy. Well, you've got the 3rd fastest time of the day, so things are going great for you to peak when it counts. So good luck out there for the rest of the matchups.
Thanks so much.
You know, Andrew, I'm watching at the different start techniques right there, and I see some riders are able to do one hop and make it into the transition of that 13-foot tall start tower, where some riders have to do a double hop. And when you see people like Billy Meeklem able to make it right into that transition without any time wasted, that's how you get that whole shot. Kialani Hines, number 3 qualifier, on the right side of your screen right now, choosing to take that rider's left race lane. Sheilyn Reno, the 6th qualifier.
Reno with a great start there, no surprise, number 6 qualifier. You can see a few drops of rain there, but that is not going to affect the riders. Wow, Kialani Hines opting for that rider's left lane. She is focusing just on herself, not worried about anyone else. She is into the next round.
Beecroft and Boise out, Hines and Reno in to the round 8.
How to win medals at Crankworx in the pump track.
So we know Kialani Hines is one of the riders we could expect to see in the final. No big surprise to see that number 3 next to her name when we took a peek at the quali list. A rider who really burst onto the Crankworx scene from the pump track discipline, having those epic battles with Jill Kintner back in the day. Now another rider who's on the rise right now, Louise Ferguson. Here's her fork settings for that RockShox Pike DJ she has up front. 140 PSI, 6 clicks a rebound, 1 high-speed compression, 3 low-speed compression. Suspension not mattering that much for this race, so lock that puppy out. Elena Henderson right next to your number 2 qualifier there, Michaela Hajkova.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So these heats are getting a lot more evenly matched. Michaela with a great jump out to start there. Czech Republic rider is easily going to make it to the next round. Who is going to join her?
Oh, whoa, didn't see that one coming.
Oh, we're seeing a finish line.
Oh, after the finish line as well.
All right. So Michaela.
Yeah, but still smiles from all the ladies there.
And Louise Ferguson getting the nod over Elena Henderson.
Tight race there for 2nd and 3rd. A little extra, oh, a little combination of a rock shaped like a tennis ball and a little bit too much front brake there.
In the finish, trying to slow down and going over, but she looks like she's up and all right.
So I think some of our riders only have rear brakes on their bikes. Looking like she had both front and rear. And again, it's that soft dirt there, trying to get that braking traction with these slick tires on. No easy feet trying to slow down for our riders.
So waiting on official timing right there. Pretty tight matchup for that final transfer spot. 2nd rider through the finish line will make it into the next round. We're going to crunch the numbers here, keep you updated who that's going to be. We'll load up the next heat. Back to the men. So things are just getting tighter and tighter here. When you look at this matchup, you've got guys like your number 1 qualifier, Jayden Fleming, going up against Crankworx favorite Cody Johnson, and then a former king of Crankworx, Adrien Loron. And the rising talent there, Jacob Jewett. A little update on our last heat we saw for the women. Louise Ferguson just barely squeaking by there above Henderson. That's why we took a couple extra moments there to figure out who made it through. So Louise Ferguson putting on a show last night, grabbing that bronze medal in the dual slalom race. More of the same here tonight for pump track. And on to the men. This one's going to be a tough one. I'm expecting to see Jayden Fleming cross the finish line first, but this is going to be really tight between Loron, Jewett, and it'd be great to see if Cody Johnson can stir up an upset.
Yeah, you can't even rule him out. If he gets a good start, he could fluster these other guys. There is only a 10-second run here in Whistler. It is so good to be back here. Missed this place. We haven't been back since 2019.
4-person drag race here. Round of 16 for the men.
good start from Fleming, no surprise. Adrien Loron as well. That's neck and neck. Look, we are just looking for the first two to go through. It looks like it'll be those two, Fleming and Loron.
It'll be interesting to see who crossed first. So it was Fleming by a nose. Loron just 200ths behind.
Look at Johnson, he was in third, so technically from the qualifying result, that's a bit of an upset over Hewitt, but once you're in third and you know you're not going to make it through, you often back off. So flawless riding there from Fleming and Adrien Loron. Is he going to get quicker as the night progresses?
I mean, Fleming is looking flawless so far. He hasn't crossed the finish line anywhere other than first place so far.
Well, he is a rider that's been racing since he was 7 years old. He's no stranger to the start gate.
No, it's good fun. You doing solid too? No, speed and style tomorrow.
Oh, shit. Damn, what's pump track and speed and style?
Yeah, pretty scary. But no, it's good fun.
He nails it there, and there's so much
It'll be cool to see Fleming in speed and style.
Did you watch its highlight reel from practice? A chill day of practice? There was a double flip, there was a front flip, all sorts.
Jayden Fleming looking like he has what it takes to get into those King of Crankworx overall standings at some point if he keeps this up. And Lemoyne, a guy also from that slope style and speed and style strength category. No slouch in the pump track. That's why we're so excited to see him back. He kicked off his pump track career in 2014 with his first podium. And then this guy has so many wins. They've all come in Rotorua 2016, 2018, and 2019. So in Austria earlier this year, when he said he wasn't going to compete in pump track, we were a bit bummed. It's great to see him back. Something about that energy in the air here in Whistler, BC. That speed and style is where he thrives as well. We'll see him take to the course tomorrow. Make sure to tune in for that. But we are far from through here at this Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. A big heat in the gate. Thomas Lemoyne, Jackson Frew, Daniel Butterworth, and Niels Bensink. Two highest qualifying riders on the outside there, Lemoyne and Bensink. Lemoyne.
Yeah, Lemoyne with the jump, no surprise there. Butterworth, though, looking good. Well, I think he's going to do it, but oh, only just. And that looks like a photo finish to me. Butterworth does take it over Neil Bensink. Wow, a little bit of an upset there.
That is actually surprising. Way to go for Butterworth there. Maybe our first upset that we've seen so far in tonight's competition. Let's take a look at how he did it.
Oh, very committed, driving those heels into the pedals and getting that drive off the back wheel. Wow.
After that start and knowing Lemoyne, it's like we didn't even need to watch him for the rest of that heat because we knew it was just going to come down to a race for second place. Look him up on Spotify, Lemoyne.
Regardless of what heat he is in, are slowing down. They're all sub 10 seconds here tonight. And that's really starting to stack things up for us in our semi.
Thomas Lemoyne into the round of 8 along with Butterworth as we take things back to the top of the course. It's going to be Keegan Wright against Austin Bubba Warren, Thomas Slavic, and Tim Bringer. Yeah, AKA 4 big names.
This could be a final here of a pump track. This is where we're going to see some potential upsets and throw those qualifying results out the door. It is the same track from, yes, there's 4 lanes, but it is basically identical for these riders.
So we've got a lot of different strengths represented here in this pack of 4 riders. Tim Bringer representing the slope world. We got a King of Crankworx, Thomas Slavic, Keegan Wright, and Bubba Warren.
So another sluggish start for Slavic, but he's the four-cross world champion. We know he can pull this back. But Keegan Wright is out front, and then I think Slavic.
So Slavic's got to figure out his starts. He has so much speed in the middle of this straight rhythm. He makes up for it, but just barely squeezing through to that final transfer position right there. It's going to be Keegan Wright and Thomas Slavic sending Bubba and Bringer out to the stands.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to the naked eye looks like he's doing anything wrong, but Keegan Wright just had a great start there. But this is where Slavic makes big moves here at the final straight here.
So Slavic is manualing the deepest roller on that final section, which is such a brave move. So much harder to hold on when the bike has that many more G-forces on it. But the speed that can be gained is well worth it if you have the finesse and muscle to pull it off. So Keegan and Slavic through to the round of 8. We're back up to the start now, where we're going to see Bas van Steenbergen, Luca Cometti, Joey Foresta, and Gauthier Jung. Bas van Steenbergen, of course, our current leader, and the king of Crankworx overall. Joey Foresta, his final event for Crankworx Whistler 2022, wants to make it count. He's the second place qualifier, so he's the guy to beat here in this round of 16 matchup.
So Bas with a good start, as Joey as well. The two fastest guys on opposite ends of the track. Whoa, but look at that. Is that Tim Bringer ahead of Bas van Steenbergen?
Joey Foresta.
No, sorry, my bad. That was
Cometti. 2 nights in a row making things happen and knocking out some giants. Bas van Steenbergen calling it a night. Jung calling it a night. It's all about Foresta and Cometti in heat number 4.
Yeah, that black kid got me. I thought it was Bringer looking there from the drone footage, but Luca Cometti.
What happened to Bas? He was off to such a good start. Did he get hung up in one of those deep rollers? Oh, yeah, there it was.
Yeah, nose bonked that one. So off his rhythm there, and that was all she wrote. Luca Cometti with an upset over Bas van Steenbergen.
The tiniest mistake, and that was it. I mean, he was leading. Take a look, left side of your screen right there. That's all it takes to lose just an ounce of momentum. That means everything. Opening up the door for Luca Cometti to grab that final transfer spot. Way to go, Luca.
So Joey Foresta, Luca Cometti moving on into the next round.
So there we go. We're chopping it in half yet again, bringing it down to 8. Jayden Fleming, Adrien Loron are in. Lemoyne and Butterworth are in. We just saw Cometti and Foresta make it in. We'll also see Thomas Slavic and Keegan Wright. Some big names still alive here in our Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. All right, we're about halfway through our broadcast here, bringing things back down to 8. So far, what do you think, Andrew?
Well, honestly, I didn't know what to expect. It's such a new event, but now when you see all the riders when they're a lot more closely matched up, it's awesome to see them neck and neck, and we saw one of those upsets. If you make a small mistake, you're not going to make it up. It's only a 10-second track.
Yeah, it's a cool experiment, and I think right now is when it's really going to start get exciting, when you have the fastest riders up against each other. Early on, I'm missing some corners. I want to see some corners, but now those big names that we're seeing line up shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow in this gate, I think we're going to see some interesting moments like we just saw with Bas van Steenbergen there. The slightest mistake causing him to not make that transfer position. I think this is when things are really going to start to heat up here in our round of 8 matchup. Time to focus things back over to the women's category. We got Jordy Scott, Harriet Burbage-Smith, Martha Gill, and Caroline Buchanan. And there you go. I love to see this. Your #1 qualifier. It's fun to be able to see those fastest times of the day. Caroline has the fastest time. She also has the second fastest time with Kialani Hines biting at her heels there. And Jordy Scott, the rider, with the third fastest time. But interesting to see there, Caroline is obviously the one to beat with those 2 fastest times. That #1 next to her name. The next fastest qualifier there is right next to Caroline, Harriet Burbage-Smith.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So it is go time in the semifinals. Caroline Buchanan lining up next to Harriet Burbage-Smith. She is out front. She is putting on a dominating performance here.
Man.
But Jordy Scott on the right will be taking that second spot into the final.
Yeah, Jordy Scott. Harriet Burbage-Smith and Martha Gill. That'll be it for them. Jordy Scott and Caroline Buchanan making it happen. Buchanan and Scott into the round of 4.
They have some of the most insane racing experience. Racing BMX for so many years. I hate to say it, I know you don't want to hear it, but it is such a critical advantage here today, Cam.
Louise Ferguson looking to carry that momentum from her performance last night in dual slalom. Michaela Hajkova, just look at her qualifying result. You know, she's the one everybody's thinking about in the gate here. Sheilyn Reno and Kialani Hines. Kialani Hines, the 3rd qualifier.
Kialani Hines has got the 3rd fastest time, but Caroline Buchanan has the #1 and #2. So Kialani Hines is finding more speed here as the night progresses.
So Louise Ferguson, something tells me when we saw her get that bronze medal last night, it's not the last time we're going to see her collecting hardware. She's emerged on the Crankworx World Tour scene. I think she's here to stay, but it's going to be tough making it out of this heat here with Kialani Hines. Michaela Hajkova.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Kialani Hines with a good start. The Czech rider, a little sluggish start. This is where she needs to get going though.
Looking like a tight battle for that 2nd place. Kialani Hines.
We will have to wait for the timing here. Kialani Hines and Michaela Hajkova out of the Czech Republic will advance to the final.
So those qualifying results proving to be an accurate indicator of potential success out here in the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. Kialani Hines, 3rd qualifier, and Hajkova, 2nd qualifier, making it through to the round of 4. This is where you really get to see the differences here. This overhead view from the FPV drone camera. Kialani Hines strongly advancing out of that heat. So over to the men. So who's moving into the round of 4? No big surprises there with Caroline Buchanan and Michaela Hajkova, your 1 and 2 qualifiers making it through. Kialani Hines, number 3 qualifier, making things happen. And Jordy Scott looking to have another good night out here in Whistler. She makes it into the round of 4. All right, on to the men here. It looks like this heat's going to be Jayden Fleming. There he is. Adrien Loron, Thomas Lemoyne, you see him on screen right now, and Daniel Butterworth. There's Adrien Loron on screen. Butterworth making things happen in the last matchup, huh? What do you make of that?
Yeah, your youngster from Rotorua getting inspired from Crankworx, going down to his hometown. How cool is that to see him here in the round of 8 in Whistler, where it all began for this amazing series that we call the Crankworx World Tour.
So to make it in for Butterworth, he's going to have to beat 2 of those 3 names there. Loron, Lemoyne, Fleming. I got to say, I'm rooting for Butterworth. I want to see him make it happen.
It's all about the underdog. Fleming from New Zealand, our #1 qualifier. Decent start from him, but not that great. Look at Lemoyne is a little bit ahead. Now Butterworth on the right, he is drifting back. It's going to be between.
That's too close.
Oh, that's so close. Too close to call between Leroy and Lemoyne. Oh,
wow.
Adrien Loron actually takes it.
Butterworth was right there in third too, though. So Loron showing why he's a former king of Crankworx. Impressive performance. Making it in to the round that counts.
Imagine a 9.8-second run on this course and you're not advancing. That is crazy again. Look at the start here. Good reaction time by all.
Yeah, Loron and Lemoyne, strong starts there in the middle of your screen.
Where are they able to accelerate through those rollers right there?
And Leroy just pulling it back at the last second there. Over those final few sets of rollers. Look how close all those riders were.
So Jayden, I got some cool news for you. You just stomped the fastest time of the day out there in that heat. We're so impressed with your performance out there. What have you been practicing more, your speed or those double flips we've been hearing about?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just out here to have fun. I'm super stoked. I didn't think I'd be doing this well. I had a pretty big crash in speed style practice, but I'm just so happy to be here.
Would you think that your experience from racing since you were 7 years old is clearly coming out without you even knowing about it?
Yeah, I think so. I think a few years of BMX and a few years of track cycling to like transition it over to this is pretty cool, so I'm lucky.
Way to go, Jayden. It's going to be 2 nights in a row of us being able to be privileged to watch you ride your bicycle. Let's see if you can grab that gold medal, man. Good luck out there.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone here, too.
Right on, Jayden Fleming putting on a show. It's going to be great to see if he can grab that gold medal and have some momentum going into tomorrow's speed and style. That's what Crankworx is all about. It's so crazy to see athletes who have a really good performance one night and have to like bounce back and get serious again 24 hours later, or less if you consider they got to wake up first thing in the morning, go get those practice laps. So a big one, to say the least. Joey Foresta, number 2 qualifier. Keegan Wright, number 3 qualifier. Thomas Slavic and Luca Cometti.
So another sluggish start for Slavic. Man, he's got his work cut out for him. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Look at Joey there. He's out front, and who is going to be the second person through? But Slavic does pull back. Wow.
Looking forward to seeing the times here.
Did Luca Cometti do it again?
That would be so rad.
We couldn't quite see the final of that outside lane there from Luca Cometti, so we'll have to check the timing.
It's going to be cool if he does it again. He knocked out Bas van Steenbergen in his last heat. Keep an eye on the man in black there, Luca Cometti.
Which man in black? I see a few there.
Far left side of your screen.
So he had a good start, and he was ahead of Slavic there.
Look at him. Oh, Luca is on fire.
Oh, that is going to be so hard to tell. Even Luke said, out. So
no
committed.
Way. Oh, we get a good angle of it
so
here.
So if they can time his front wheel, he might get it. If they time his back, definitely not. Wow, that is so close.
Oh, I don't...
Thank goodness for the swatch timing, because we can't
really goes
tell.
Wrong.
Luca Cometti does it!
That is so cool to see. Foresta and Cometti making it through to the
with
finals.
The loop out.
I mean, Luca, look at that. You just got to beat one more person to grab a medal out there tonight. Wow. Rapid fire action out here. Jayden Fleming, your number 1 qualifier, delivering on that promise, making it into the final matchup with Adrien Loron, with Joey Foresta and Luca Cometti. I'm really psyched for Luca right there. Like, he worked for it in those last 2 heats, knocking out some giants. He's found himself in the final. Well, we're down to the business end of things here in our Ultimate Pump Track Challenge as we experiment with a new format, a new type of course, and things have heated up exponentially as we've worked through our rounds. Let's take a look at that last matchup where Luca Cometti repeated what he did in the round of 16 by slaying some dragons, knocking out the Goliaths.
Yeah, and I mean, Keegan Wright, he was ahead of Slavic, so he would have maybe thought, hey, I can do this. But Luca Cometti in lane 4 over there, my word.
You do what you got to do to get it done, and that got it done for Luca Cometti. What an absolutely spectacular backdrop for bike racing we have.
So that's a sight we like to see right there. This is what Crankworx is all about. We travel around the world. We're going to hit 4 stops during this 2022 season, but things are just right when we have a stop in Whistler. The crowd yesterday was sizable. The crowd today, I would categorize it as big, and as we progress things into Saturday's Joyride, that will be a humongous crowd.
Oh, it's going to be so crazy. I don't even know where I'm going to find a spot to watch. But it just feels like we're home again, Cam. This is where the festival actually started, where it originates from. And the awesome thing is, a lot of the people that would be watching might be out riding their bikes because it's an incredible place to do that as well.
You get to ride here alongside some of the best riders in the world. You'll bump into them on the chairlift. But if you don't know, you know now. Here it is right there at the bottom of your screen. Saturday is Red Bull Joyride. We're going to be kicking it off at 4:30 p.m. local time here in the Pacific time zone. You can see that redbull.com, broadcast on Red Bull TV. It's the 10th anniversary of Joyride. This slopestyle game was born here on this Boneyard slopestyle course. Red Bull got behind it in 2011. We obviously missed out on things 2020 and 2021, but to be back here in 2022 and celebrate that 10th running of Red Bull Joyride is going to be something special. I think we're going to set some records in terms of crowd participation. The cheering will register on the Richter scale, and I'm looking at what looks like riot fencing alongside the course. So that tells you right there, we're expecting it to be quite the party. But the party today is getting down to the business ends of things here in the Ultimate Pump Track Channel. We are into the finals here. Kialani Buchanan, the #1 qualifier. Great to see her back following the Crankworx World Tour. She's come back from some wild injuries. She's more focused than we've ever seen. She's been to the Olympics. She's done it all, and she's decided Crankworx is where she belongs. And we'd have to agree with her as she sits at the top of this run-in for the finals, the #1 qualifier. Let's listen into these introductions.
And dropping out of lane #2, riding out of Southern California, she has a boatload of Crankworx Pump Track medals. Coming up the stairs now and getting ready to put herself into lane #2, Kialani Hines. And rolling out of gate #1, she's riding out of the USA, one of the fastest gated racers on the planet, a rock star of the Crankworx world. Give it up for Jordy Scott!
Oh, Jordy Scott grabbed that silver medal just last night in dual slalom. We had her on a headset interview. She explained that was her first time making it into the night show, the broadcast for dual slalom. This is where she thrives in the Pump Track Challenge. She's here for the finals along with the #1 qualifier, #2 qualifier, and #3 qualifier. This is going to be quite the matchup here. Can Kialani Buchanan put the pressure aside that comes with that #1 qualifying position and grab the gold medal? Or will Kialani Hines or Jordy Scott? Here we go.
And it's a gold medal matchup. Kialani Buchanan rockets out of the start. It's under 10 seconds till we hand out the hardware. And who is going to be second? It looked like Jordy Scott had a great run there for second.
It looked like Jordy Scott. Hajkova was back from the get-go. Jordy Scott, the lowest qualifying rider in this finals heat, goes 2 silver medals in a row. And Kialani Buchanan grabbing that gold medal and backing up that #1 qualifying position.
Wow, what an incredible race. And Jordy Scott has been getting quicker as the night progressed, only qualifying in 5th position.
What happened to Hajkova?
Yes.
#2 qualifier having a slow start.
Slow start. Maybe the pressure got to her here. Yeah, terrible start by her, and a little bobble over those first few rollers as well, and she just couldn't make the time back. But Jordy Scott was getting quicker and quicker as the night progressed. But Kialani Buchanan, she was flawless the whole evening.
We were expecting to see Kialani win. That was great to see her do it. Jordy Scott, I got to point out, she had the last choice of gate, and she still was able to grab that silver medal. I mean, based on the way Kialani's been riding today, we kind of felt like that was a race for second place there. We have Kialani now. Kialani, congratulations, grabbing that gold medal. I mean, we saw that #1 next to your name all day long. For you, when you saw that course, knowing your strengths, were you just salivating? This is right up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's always like you want to drop the BMX background quote. I've been a mountain bike for a long time, true at heart. But to be honest, I mean, it's just great. The spectators, the fans can understand it. It's that clear race to the finish. I think the format's great. I think we can add some turns. We can add some technicality to it, some jumps that need to be, you know, cleared. But yeah, I think this is the start of an awesome future, and I love it.
So snagging a gold medal here, but I have a feeling based on just watching your Instagram, knowing what you've been practicing for, we've got Speed and Style tomorrow night. Is that the one you're looking forward to the most?
Yeah, definitely. This whole year I've had a massive FMB focus with slopestyle, come off a fresh win. Last weekend in Big White, some big crashes as well. So yeah, excited for the back flips, the tuck no-handers, maybe a front flip. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
It's a front flip, no big deal. Well, I'm glad you were able to stay healthy through all that slopestyle training. Grab the gold medal out here. Congratulations, Kialani.
No, stoked. Thank you, everyone.
Good stuff there, Kialani Buchanan grabbing that gold. Jordy Scott going silver medal last night, silver medal tonight. Michaela Hajkova just finishing off 1 spot less than where she qualified. And Kialani Hines, kudos to her making it into the final and grabbing those points that come along with 4th place.
Yeah, exciting stuff. It was awesome to see this new style of format. Kialani Buchanan was absolutely flawless, and you actually can't be surprised. But Michaela Hajkova out of the Czech Republic qualified in 2nd, landed in 3rd position, your 4-cross world champion. That's really cool to see a new name here at Crankworx.
No doubt. Expect to see her stick around and do well if we continue on with this adapted format for the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge.
Nice to take a win here at Crankworx Whistler.
Who doesn't love a little Brett Tippy?
Step down. And manual, a huge such an ass into the tire and kind of bobbled some speed, and I knew like I had to fight back. So I wasn't sure about midway. I was like, oh, I've done, I've lost it. But no, towards the line.
If they don't want to be involved, well, it's going to wither pretty quickly. And if there's one thing that Crankworx doesn't do, is wither. All you got to do is look around Whistler to see
good feeling, and everyone's scared. It's just like, you're a racer, you want to win.
So good to be back as we are fired up for finals. The women's
There we go. We got a nice little bonus interview there, courtesy of Brett Tippy.
We still have another one, Whistler. We are not done yet. The men's final still to come here at the pump track, and the backdrop. Whistler, take a second.
So I'm just getting word here, semifinal #2 from the men is under review. So we might as well eavesdrop this review, take a look back. What stands out to you on this one, Andrew?
Well, we're taking a look here. This was Slavik, who was a little bit sluggish in his run.
Handling that deep roller. I mean, Slavik.
I haven't been told what we're looking out for. It looked cleanish to us,
Slavik
didn't it?
definitely looked like he crossed the line second. Is that not what we had? So I'm trying to figure out what they're reviewing. I know we had Cometti making it through. Who knows? I guess truth will be told as soon as we get to see those riders up in the gate. Let's just stick around and wait for that. Maybe they were reviewing it because it was just so rad.
Because it was so rad. But I mean, what's interesting is Fleming, he seems pretty calm in that interview, but you know, the pressure's got to build now. Now that you're in the final, qualify fastest, now, I mean, everyone expects you to win. I wonder how he's going to handle that.
Foresta.
But you also have 3 other competitors doing the exact same thing, striving for that same goal, and it's just a millisecond little adjustment. Is it how high you're bringing your front wheel over the roller? Is it doubling into that roller section or over the double into that triple?
So Fleming, you know, after you watch Kialani Buchanan qualify first and take the gold, as if there wasn't enough pressure already, having that #1 next to your name all day, the #1 for the women's category, just delivered on that promise. So Fleming just wants to get in that gate, get this thing over with. It would be crazy if he was able to take the win too, because we would see 2 riders taking the gold that we're going to see later on tomorrow for speed and style. But this is the run that's under review. I'm trying to figure out if it is maybe Cometti isn't going to advance out of this heat. I'm just hypothesizing here. Tough to tell on this straight on view, but maybe they're saying that Slavic crossed in second and not Cometti. I'm not sure. Truth will be told when we see those rankings. But one thing's for sure, Cometti on the left side of your screen right there looks stealth.
Well, everyone from our view is at least in their lane. We can't see Cometti. Yes, he came through on the back wheel. But that is going to be a challenge for the timing beams if his front wheel's a little higher than that.
His rear end touched the ground before his front wheel after that finish line.
I mean, Keegan Wright looks well up there as well as Slavic. I mean, it is so tough to tell. That's why we have to rely on the judges and we rely on the amazing timing we have supplied by Swatch. One thing we do know, Joey definitely won that one, Cap. At least we can agree on one thing tonight.
Well, Joey is definitely coming into his own. We've been watching him climb the ranks in racing for a few years, but he's definitely peaking right now in his career. Joey Foresta's definitely a guy to look out for. I'm excited to see him.
Sorry, like, yeah, but like the wheels on the line before the one. Look at the crowd absolutely fired here. The sun on Blackstone Mountain. I mean, this is what brought us to Whistler.
So it's time for our men's final, the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge. Let's eavesdrop in and have a listen to these big introductions for our top 4 riders today. One of them is going to take the gold momentarily.
Rolling out of lane #4, your fastest qualifier, riding out of New Zealand for iLab. Let's hear it for Jayden Fleming! And out of lane #3, riding out of South Jordan in the USA for GT Bicycles, Joey Foresta! Riding out of lane #2, the former king of Crankworx from Carpentras, France. Riding for IXS, give it up for Adrien Loron! And our last rider dropping out of lane #1 from Capitol Beach, the Canyon Collective. Give it up for lane #1's Luca Cometti.
Well, Well, a stacked heat to say the least here for our Ultimate Pump Track Challenge final for the men. We just saw Kialani Buchanan grab the gold for the women. She was the #1 qualifier. We now have Jayden Fleming, the #1 qualifier in this final. We have Joey Foresta, the #2 qualifier. We have Adrien Loron, who was the 8th qualifier, and the big upsetter, the bracket breaker, Luca Cometti, the 10th place qualifier, with at least a top 4 to his name right now. But you know he's going to be drag racing this out, trying to grab a medal.
Nothing to lose for any of these guys, especially Luca Cometti, backdooring his way here into the final. Oh, that is a bad start for Fleming. Can he pull it back? Luca Cometti is going hard. This is going to be a photo finish.
What is that going to be? I'm just staring at Luca going, man, if you can even just beat anybody in this, it's going to be amazing. He might be grabbing a medal. Adrien Loron celebrating. Way to go, Loron and Cometti. First and second with Fleming. Wow, getting bumped down into bronze medal territory. Crazy.
We said it could happen. There is an under 10-second run here, 9.9. He's almost as fast as Usain Bolt down this track.
This is what I was hoping would happen. You know, I wanted to see some surprising endings to this Ultimate Pump Track Challenge experiment. Adrien Loron just sneaking around and peaking right at the right moment there. We have seen him on the top step of a pump track podium so many times, but it's been a while. Gold medal for Adrien Loron. But come on, let's talk about Luca grabbing that silver. That's so killer.
And look at that. The 2 technically slowest qualifiers on paper into that final matchup, taking the 1 and 2. We thought that could happen. Loron getting faster and Cometti as the night progressed. And flawless runs there in the final. It's been a while since he has won a pump track. Adrien Loron, he has shown emotion when going out early in pump tracks. So Fleming with a sluggish start there, unfortunately for him. Joey Foresta as well. They just could not get going in this final, but Loron, wow, flawless from him.
Now, a perfect run when it counts the most there for Adrien Loron. We're gonna get that straight on view again. And we saw Bas van Steenbergen have a mistake, and that's what caused him to get eliminated. So it just went to show that there's no room for error out here, and Adrien Loron with a flawless run, grabbing that gold medal. Luca Cometti grabbing the silver. Look how close it actually was through the line.
Wow, exciting racing in this new style of pump track. Adrien Loron taking your gold medal.
So, Adrien, congratulations on grabbing that win right there. We were just thinking, you know, it's been a bit since we've seen you on the top of the pump track podium there. It was 2020 in Innsbruck. How hard have you been working to get back and be able to experience this moment?
Oh, man, to be honest, it's been a while. I'm not touching the pump track bike. I've been focusing way more on the enduro and downhill because it's my weakness. And this time I came to Canada and my bikes didn't make it, so I had borrowed bikes all week long. And I really want to say thank you to all the people who helped me to have the best bikes tonight. And oh man, I have no words. It's so cool to win in such a situation.
Well, you've been focusing on trying to improve your weaknesses. You just grabbed the gold medal in the event we've seen you win so many times before. But based on what you just said, is that telling us that you're really making a run for King of Crankworx this year?
To be honest, once again, I'm not really focusing on that. I started to work in Les Deux Alpes, which is one of the most beautiful resorts in the world, and I'm shaping way more than I'm riding this year. So I did like compromises between shaping and riding. And I don't know, man, sometimes you don't expect it and it just comes somehow.
Well, you definitely earned it out there. You fought till the finish and were really able to create an upset there, knocking out that #1 qualifier. So congratulations, Adrien. Enjoy celebrating in the village tonight.
Thank you very much, guys.
Good to see there, Adrien Loron back in that gold medal position. What's the most impressive thing for you here?
Yeah, I mean, Luca Cometti was impressive. He kept coming through. Not a great qualifier, but I was impressed with Jayden Fleming. And let's not forget Joey Foresta. Those guys qualified so well, and it is so tough to keep having clean runs as the night progressed. So I was just excited for how close the racing was in that semi-final and final.
So Adrien Loron focusing a little bit more on shaping in L2A, which is definitely something that's going to get you close to the transition and understanding where to make up speed. That all came into play here at the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge, and some points were earned. Adrien Loron skyrocketing himself into second place now in the King overall standings. I gotta think, he's been saying he's been focusing more on downhill. We've seen him do so well in Whistler in events like the air downhill. You gotta think now that he's second place, he's gonna go hard for that Canadian Open DH.
Well, I mean, often when you take the expectations and the pressure off yourself, you perform better. So with him having maybe a more full-time job over there in France, he's not putting much pressure on himself. And we've seen how emotional he can get when he goes out early and around. So very cool to see from Adrien Loron there taking the win. And then Kialani Buchanan coming back to the racing side that we know she can do. That's pretty awesome from her. And you can see her going up that leaderboard. She's now sitting in fourth in the Queen of Crankworx standings.
Jordy Scott doing a great job playing some defense here, trying to stay close to Via Verbeek, who went out early in this Pump Track Challenge. Jordy Scott capitalizing on that opportunity. I think some points are really going to be shaken up tomorrow in speed and style, because we're seeing both for the women and the men's category. So many of the front runners in our Queen and King leaderboard will be competing tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss that. You will see that woman right there, Kialani Buchanan, taken to the stage again and looking to carry that momentum from the gold medal she earned today. What a race. What are your final thoughts after this experiment here in the Ultimate Pump Track Challenge, Andrew?
Well, we both didn't know what to expect, and sometimes you throw something new in the hat and it works, and I think it did. Maybe they could lengthen it a little bit, like Caroline said. Put some big jumps in there as well. It'd be cool to see 4 riders side by side with some jumps, but awesome racing, and I'm excited for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I was impressed by the end there with the tight racing and the upsets. So, all right, I was a little skeptical first. I'm a fan now. I got to thank you, the fans out there, for tuning in. We are just getting started here for stop number 2 on the 2022 Crankworx World Tour. We got speed and style tomorrow. We're going to have slopestyle on Saturday, downhill on Sunday. I've been your host, Cam McCall. I want to say thanks for joining us. Thank you, Andrew Needling, Derek Foose, and Tristan Merrick for giving us a fun competition out here. We will see you all tomorrow.